Mga migs, good day. For this video, we are going to discuss rate of compound interest and internal rate of return. This is one of the topics in the subject mathematics of investment. Now, rate of compound interest. Interest rate is the amount borrowers pay for the use of money they do not own. Interest rates are normally expressed as a percentage rate over the period of 1 year. Okay, so that's our understanding about interest rate. That is the rate agreed between the lenders and the borrowers. Now, that is considered as good for 1 year. Now, using the formula below, we can solve for I, where I is equal to J over M. Now, the interest here, represented by small letter I, is what we call the nominal rate. That is the rate for 1 year. This J over M is the effective rate. That is the rate per conversion period. So if the amount is compounded semi-annually, so we have to divide the nominal rate by 2 and the quotient becomes the effective rate every conversion period. So we have this formula, the compound amount or the future value represented by capital letter F equals the present value represented by uppercase letter P times the quantity 1 plus J over M raised to N. Now, let us be clear about the N here, the exponent. This exponent is the total number of conversion periods. The total number of conversion periods by the end of the agreement or by the end of the time. Okay? So we simply use a single letter for the number of conversion or total number of conversion periods. Okay, let us have now the derivation of the compound interest rate formula. So we have to use the formula of compound interest, and in this formula, our nominal rate I is replaced by J over M, in which this is the effective rate or the interest rate per conversion period. So in this formula, our goal is to solve for J. Now, we divided this equation by both sides by P. So we got this one. Then P divided by P, that is just equal to 1. So you have at the left F over P. So F over P equals the quantity 1 plus J over M raised to N. Now, for us to solve for J, we have to get rid of this exponent N. So what we have to do is raise both sides by 1 over N so that this will become 1. Okay, so raising this 1 by 1 over N, this becomes 1. So 1 plus J over M. Then this F over P is raised to 1 over N. So this is what we have done this one. We raise this with 1 raised to N. So this is the result. Now, our our terms at the left side, the terms at the left side are already in the right side, and the terms at the right side are now at the left side. So there's nothing to worry about this because transposing the terms at the right to the left and the terms at the left to the right does not have any effect to the equation. We are just trying this one because we follow the direction of our the way we read. We used to have the unknown at the left side of the equation. So in this equation, we have to solve for j. So we have to subtract both sides by 1 so that only j over m will be at the left side. So we apply subtraction property of equality. So we have this one. Okay. Then multiply both sides by m because our goal is just to have j at the left side. So multiplying the left side by m times j over m, that is just equal to j. So these terms at the right is also multiplied by m. So we applied multiplication property of equality. Okay, so this is now the compound interest formula. Okay, so that's our formula. Now let's have this illustration. At what rate compounded semi-annually will 60,000 become 80,000 pesos at the end of 6 years? So our goal here is to determine the interest rate such that this principal amount, 60,000 pesos, will become 80,000 pesos at the end of 6 years. So compounded semi-annually. Since compounded semi-annually for 6 years, so our total number of conversion periods is 12. So we have it here. So again, we have to use the formula I equals m times the quantity or the group f over p raised to 1 over n minus 1. So you have it here. You have the effective rate or the rate every conversion period. So equals 2 times this group. So you have 80,000 divided by 60,000. That is just equal to 1.333. Then you have to raise that one by 1 over 12. Then subtract the result by 1. So this 1.33 raised to 1 over 12, that is equal to 1.024. Then subtract it by 1, then the difference is multiplied by 2. So you get 0.048 or 4.8%. So this is the interest rate per conversion period. Okay? So again, the goal is to get the interest rate. And in this particular example, we are determining the interest rate per conversion period. Now, let's have the internal rate of return, IRR. IRR is the discount rate often used in capital budgeting that make the net present value of all cash flows from a particular project equal to 0. In the overall, the higher the IRR, the more desirable to take the project. This IRR can be also used to rank several projects for prioritization purposes. Assuming all other factors are equal among the various projects, the project with the highest IRR should be prioritized for funding support. So this is similar to the previous topic about net present value. So there's a need for us to really understand what to do given a particular situation. So this one is another way of knowing if the project will bring in more money or more profit in our business. In general, there is no closed form solution for IRR. One must irritably, meaning assume a value of IRR, then substitute it into the net present value calculation. See how close to 0 NPV is. From that, pick a different IRR value and repeat the process until the NPV is 0 or as close to 0. Now let's have the illustration. corporate gain has a project that requires 500,000 in investment. The cash flow for the first year is 300,000 and another 300,000 for the second year. So this is a 2-year project, and then the project requires 500,000 pesos. But the cash flow for the first year is just 300,000 pesos, and another one for the next year, 300,000 pesos. So the question is, what is the IRR of the project? So let's apply the concept of the internal rate of return. Now, set the net present value equals 0. Then solve for the discount rate. So we have to apply what we've learned in the lesson, net present value. So you have negative 500 because that is the investment, no? That is the investment the company or the corporate has to make. So it is the amount that will be taken from the treasury or from the company. Then plus 300,000. Then the quantity 1 plus IRR raised to negative 1. This is for the first year. Plus 300,000 times the quantity 1 plus IRR raised to negative 2. Now, assuming IRR at 10% effective rate, we would, so NPV equals negative 500,000 plus 300,000 times the quantity 1 plus 0.10. So this 0.10 is the 10% effective rate raised to negative 1. So plus 300,000 times the quantity 1 plus 0.10 raised to negative 2. Now, using our gadgets, using our calculators, let's do the computation. So we get 20,661 pesos and 16 cents. Now, assuming IRR at 15% effective rate, we would have NPV of negative 12,287.33. Now, this is negative. This is a bit far from zero. Our goal is that to get close to zero. So all we have to do now is to do some calculations until such time that our net present value would appear between 10% and 15% because at 10% you have 20,661.16 and in 15% effective rate you have negative 12. So zero, zero, that is our goal, to have our NPV appear zero. So we have the idea that this making the NPV equal to zero is going to happen if we are going to consider effective rates between 10% and 15%. So you have to do the so-called trial and error. And in this particular illustration, the IRR is about 13.05%. So as what I said, there's no standard formula for this, but what we're using is just the concept of NPV and the internal rate of return. It's what we call irritative or there is calculations that going to repeat, no? You are going to repeat them until such time that you are sure that this is really the basis of making the decision if to accept or not to accept the project. Thank you very much for watching.